made it there, won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. We had a great time. But my biggest moment was grabbing my son and my family from over the fence, bringing them on the field, and celebrating with them in the biggest moment of my life.
What's going on, guys? This is Brian Jones from PopCulture.com, and joining me today is one of the all-time NFL greats. He's a former Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos linebacker. He's the Cowboys' all-time sack leader and won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, a member of the 100 Sacks Club, and the 2000s NFL All-Decade team, DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Man, thanks for inviting me on, and thanks for that awesome introduction. And I've been really looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to get started with this first. You recently surprised a 13-year-old kid named Isaac Edwards. He's an aspiring photographer, and you had a photograph session with him. And this is all part of outschool.org and the Stand Together. So what made you want to be part of this process?
You know what? During the pandemic, kids are, just being deprived of either supplies, places to stay, and him being a Boys and Girls Club kid was really big to me because I was a club kid myself. But when I found out, he's from Louisiana area, and you know what? With some things down there, he lost his home. He was here in Texas. He was staying in a hotel for a long time, and I knew that he was inspiring to be an NFL photographer. And for me, I'm like, you know what? It's only time. It's time that can change somebody else's life. And giving him an opportunity to sort of follow his dreams, give him like a push, right? Everybody needs that push to be that better person and motivate them. So I ended up doing that with him. But also I got a production company here, so I knew a lot about the cameras. I knew a lot about the video equipment. So really just shedding some light and doing some things with him. And I know he's excelling right now. Was a great opportunity for me to really get out there. Somebody did it for me. And so now I was, really just giving back.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you're into photography, you love photographs, you're a photograph enthusiast. And, how was that photo shoot? Because it seemed like Isaac knew what he was doing and really did a good job with the photos.
He knew exactly what he was doing. We were up there by the star, the Dallas Cowboys star, and he got surprised with this awesome camera. I think it was some Canon camera that he wanted. And they were like, hey, Isaac, what would it be like if you got to photograph a professional athlete? He was like, oh, my God, that would be great. And so while he was doing that, we took a photo. And when we took the photo, they showed it to him in the camera. Yeah. And he looked and he was like, hold on. Oh, there's DeMarcus behind me, which was really, really cool, right? And I was very surprised of what the kid was able to do. I didn't have to tell him much. I was like, hey, I'm going to do this type of action shot. Can you get it? He knew exactly how to dial the camera in. I said, I'm going to get in a low position. I want you to get this type of picture. I showed him an example. He did it. So he's been practicing. I know that for sure. And it was like, again, there was a great opportunity to also surprise him and have a little fun.
Of course. And you mentioned that Isaac's a member of the Boys and Girls Club, and you were also a Boys and Girls Club alum. How much did the Boys and Girls Club make an impact on your life as you were growing up?
Yeah, when you grow up in a rural area where there's not a lot of utilities, a lot of things given to you. Yeah. What kept me off the streets from selling drugs, getting into gangs was a Boys and Girls Club. And having an opportunity to mesh with companies like, Stand Together. They came to like the Boys and Girls Club, not just this company. They came to the Boys and Girls Club to help. And now I have an opportunity to really give back and do that same thing. Somebody just gave me a little bit of time to let me know that I was important. And when I can do that, I pay that forward, especially being in this role model role. Role models came to see me and look at where I am now. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to do that same thing because you can be just as impactful.
Of course. Yeah, you've done a really good job with that and doing great work in the community as always. And switching gears a little bit, one of the things that has happened to you recently is you've been nominated to the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 22. So first off, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And of course, and what was your reaction when you first learned the news of you being one of the nominees?
dreams do come true.
Yeah.
When you think about edging your name in history, in not just professional football, but in a state to where you didn't grow up at, but you had such a big impact in the state of Texas, which was awesome, right? And then also to sort of rewind the tape, the Alabama Hall of Fame. That was big.
Yeah.
I'm from Auburn, Alabama, and being nominated for the Alabama Hall of Fame, I started thinking to myself that, you know what, you did something right. All that hard work that you put in, you can start seeing yourself benefit from all of those things. And it was just cool. I mean, it's still surreal to think about you are part of history now. So when somebody start looking at Texas history, Alabama history, you're part of that, and you're impacting in some type of way.
Right. And it's interesting because some NFL players, when they talk about whether they're getting in the Hall of Fame or already in the Hall of Fame, they say they don't really envision being in the Hall of Fame, while they're playing and things like that. So was the Hall of Fame for you an actual dream or one of your goals when you were growing up?
No, not at all, man. The first thing I want to do is get a good job, make money for the family. I didn't even think about football. Football was, my go-to. That was the second thing I was thinking about. School was first. And you know what? God gave me some talents to go out there and play. And lo and behold, you're getting drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and then, the future is there. But it was always second, just like you just said. It was second nature to a lot of these guys. They don't think about the Hall of Fame. They think about taking care of themselves. They think about what's first. What are your priorities? They don't think about, I want to be, put the yellow jacket on, or I'm going to be in the Texas Hall of Fame or the Alabama Hall of Fame. No, I want to be the best player that day on the field against my opponents. You think about those small things at first, and then you get to those big things. They will come. So if you don't worry about those big things, like I always say, don't worry about the 48 or the 72 hour, worry about the 24. The 72, you'll get there. I promise you eventually.
Right. So what would you say would be your favorite NFL moment in your career? I know you won a Super Bowl with the Broncos in the short amount of time you were there, but you had so many great moments with the Cowboys. So what would you say would be your favorite moment?
I think one of my favorite moments was it was at the Super Bowl. And as a player, you always want to make it to the top. Right? Made it there, won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. We had a great time. But my biggest moment was grabbing my son and my family from over the fence, bringing them on the field, and celebrating with them in the biggest moment of my life.
Yeah.
That was like that crucial point. Like my kids don't even probably understand how big that moment was. But when I go back and I start looking at the videos and the photos, they're like, man, I got to go to the Super Bowl. I was there. We won it. I got to experience that with you. That experience means everything to me. Not a quarterback sack, not a Hall of Fame, but being able to have my family on the field at the biggest point of my career, I can say, that was it.
That has to be awesome. And obviously having your family there winning the Super Bowl, that has to be an amazing moment.
Yeah.
And when you talk about really the Broncos and the Cowboys this year, they're both off to really good starts, but it's really the Cowboys. And I think they're interesting because, they brought in defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. They have Mike McCarthy. He's in the second year. And defensively, they've done really, really well. There are a couple of players that stand out, whether it's Michael Parsons or Trayvon Diggs, who has like 5 interceptions, which is insane. So who are some of the players defensively for the Cowboys that have really stood out to you?
Probably, Michael Parsons being one of them, because I got to coach him a little bit and mentor him this offseason, seeing how athletic he is, how impactful he's been this season. It's been great, right? And then you go back to the vets like DeMarcus Lawrence, and I start looking at, Diggs and, Vander Esch and Jalen. He's gone now, but how all those guys are playing together. And like last year, what was missing was that edge. And now you see these guys playing with aggressiveness. When you start saying, hey, can we match the Dallas Cowboys intensity? That's what you want to hear from a defense. So that's a good thing to hear. And just being part of that with some of those guys, with Randy Gregory too as well, It's been really cool this offseason. So those are a lot of the guys I've really been, surprised about how they just flipped from last year all the way to this year and balling out.
Absolutely. And offensively, they've done well with Dak Prescott being back and Ezekiel Elliott looking like he's back to his old self. So, and the thing is with them is, their one loss is against the defending champion Tampa Bay Bucks, and they took them down to the wire. And they just recently came out beating an undefeated Carolina Panthers team that never trailed in their first 3 games. So do you think this Cowboys team has a chance to win a Super Bowl because they look like one of the best teams in the NFC right now?
I think every team every year has a chance to win the Super Bowl. It just depends on how they come together in the off season. And they had an off season. They didn't have a COVID season last year. Yeah. They had OTAs and mini camps, the training camps. You can see that, those guys have really been coming to. So, I think the sky's the limit for them. They're making the playoffs and they've been playing well. It's all about, can they be healthy at the end of the season? So it's going to boil down to that. But those guys have everything that they need to get to where they need to be.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. So one last question before I let you go is when it comes to the rest of the NFL and pass rushers, there's a few that really stand out, specifically TJ Watt. You obviously have a guy like Aaron Donald. Who were some of the pass rushers that you like seeing in today's NFL?
You know what, Myles Garrett. I mean, when you see 3 guys on one guy and he's still being effective, Von Miller, that's my dude up there in Denver. Aaron Donald, for sure. He's playing, lights out. TJ Watt doing the same thing. I'm naming some of the guys that, you named earlier. But those guys, every single year, no matter who they play, they're balling out. And it's just good to see them out there playing with tenacity and being healthy this season. So, I look forward actually to some Thursday game, the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. So I look forward to that and, in the Sunday games as well.
Yeah, it's already been a fun NFL season, and I think it's going to get more exciting. So we're all definitely looking forward to it. DeMarcus, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and good luck on everything.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And guys, thank you so much for joining us. And for more on DeMarcus and all your favorite sports stars, be sure to keep it locked right here on PopCulture.com.